Welcome back to Southern California. 66 degrees in the middle of February. Blue skies, most everywhere you look it's going to be green. Those will soon turn to weeds, but still, for the month of January, February, it's beautiful here. So let's talk about living caregivers. The AARP did a survey and they found like 95% of people much prefer to stay in their homes as opposed to go into a facility. So having a living caregiver for when things get serious and the need is increased is an option most people would choose to have. So we're going to talk about in the next few videos specifically what a living caregiver scenario would look like, the quality of the caregiver. We're going to look at costs. We're going to look at if you do have a living caregiver, sleeping arrangements, how they need to have their own space. We're going to look at the stress it causes for not only the caregiver but more importantly the family, and how to mitigate that stress so that everyone stays as healthy as they can be. And of course, we're going to talk about quality of caregiver. But today, let's just talk about living caregiver as far as deciding if that's the stage you're at now. So a lot of people can get by with just 4 or 5 hours a day. They get in, get their meals, get all their necessities done. If they need transportation, taken to a doctor, go to the grocery store, they've got someone to take them there and take care of it. But if you're in a situation where you need someone there in the day and at night, and you don't feel comfortable leaving that loved one home by themselves, then a living caregiver is definitely an option you want to do. The reason this video is called Living Caregivers because I feel strongly that you're much better off having a living caregiver than you are having caregivers come and go. A lot of agencies or a lot of individuals would suggest, you have a caregiver in there every 8 hours. So you've got, you're not going into overtime. You've got a caregiver coming and going on a regular shift. And in some situations, this might be okay. If the client has a good relationship with all those caregivers, and as they come and go, it doesn't disrupt the house enough that would be an issue. But what I find is having a caregiver stay for 2, 3, 4 days at a time makes the home environment much more stable, especially if you have Alzheimer's or dementia. Having that many people coming and going isn't always the best option. So having someone there day and night is usually the best option available to you. A facility probably be the next step, but the reality is nobody wants to go into a facility regardless of how nice it is. The place where they've made their home and they probably raised their kids and they've worked and toiled for this piece of property and these 4 walls, they want to stay there. So having a living caregiver is the best way to go. So we're going to talk in the next few videos just exactly some of the things you need to look at. In this video, just want to focus on the ability to have someone there 24/7 is viable. Even in the state of California, where things are more rigid and the state has a lot more rules and regulations, it is very viable. If you need that kind of care and you're going to have caregivers coming and going every 8 hours versus a live-in, the cost you're going to find usually is cheaper to have a live-in than it is to have caregivers coming and going all the time. So there's different ways to do that, and we'll talk about that in future videos. But if live-in caregiver is the spot where you're at, or if you're just not, but you would feel comfortable having someone with a loved one 24/7, so they know if they need something, if their mobility is hampered, dementia, Alzheimer's, living caregiver by far is the best way. And of course, as we go through these videos, we're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages. The advantage of having a live-in is you've got someone there, the house is stable. The disadvantage of having people come and go is it really depends on the client, but 9 times out of 10, having a steady caregiver in there on a regular shift every 2 or 3 days, every week, is going to be much more calming to the senior. So as we move through these videos, hopefully you guys get some use and some knowledge that will help you. As always, if you need to give me a call, my number is below. If you're anywhere in California, I can give you some pretty good advice that deals with the state and regulations. If you live outside of the state, call me anyways. At least I can point you in the right direction and give you some clues and probably hone you in on exactly what you're going to need. So remember, live well, live long, and live at home. Thank you.